we're kicking things off with our international correspondent, Alex Newman. Alex, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Duke. Great to be with you.
It's always great to have you on, because while we're fussing about what's going on in the United States as if this was a universal thing, you are always reminding us, pay attention to what the globalists are doing, not necessarily the half-baked Joe Biden and his feckless crew. And so tell us what's going on globally with regards to transgenderism.
Well, thank you, Duke. And the UN, actually, on this International Transgender Day of Visibility, which was March 31st, the UN unveiled this new program. They call it Unbox Me. It's a UN program to push transgender indoctrination to children all over the world. They partnered with an Indian advertising agency, and they are just so proud that they're going to be pushing this transgenderism into school classrooms around the world. It seems like at this point the only places that aren't doing it are mostly the Islamic nations, Russia and China. But all across the Western world, Asia, the Indian subcontinent, of course, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, this transgenderism indoctrination is just becoming absolutely ubiquitous, and the UN is very, very pleased about it.
ये चूड़ियां मैं बचपन में पहनती थी। ये सब मतलब देखकर ना मैं थोड़ी इमोशनल हो रही हूँ।
So I'm gonna open this. It says Santosh Kumar.
This is Lakshman's box.
A razor. A nail polish.
A lovely bracelet.
And we also have a little note.
I like to look in the mirror when no one else is looking. Let's look at children in the way that they look at themselves. Let no child have to hide from the world.
We know that for Islamic countries, it's the religious, the reasons they're not doing it. But why do you speculate that China and Russia, because this is clearly going to contribute to the undercutting of Western values. So I can see why they would promote that, but not use it in their countries. What is it about these ideologies that the Marxist countries are standing aside from?
Well, I think they have it in their mind that they want to become dominant players globally, and they know their military, their economy is not going to be functioning well if their men are confused about what gender they are, what bathroom they ought to be going in. So China has actually taken really overt steps. They actually banned portrayals of girly men on the television, of feminized men, because they want their men to be manly, because they'll be better soldiers, they'll be better workers, they'll be better providers for their families, etc. So, I think the Chinese and the Russians are the governments, at least, are doing this for strategic purposes, but no doubt they love it that American schools, that Canadian schools, that German schools, that Indian schools are peddling this stuff to the poor little children.
Well, tell me how this, our listeners, how exactly these laws and these international initiatives are going to work.
Well, the advertising partnership is designed to put out propaganda at the children, and actually the UN says right in their own announcement about this that they're working with educators to train them on how to peddle this stuff in the classroom to children. And I think the place we see it most clearly, at the moment at least, is in the United States. As I go over in my article, it's at freedomproject.com. The Biden administration, just on the same International Transgender Day of Visibility or whatever, they unveiled this massive battery of new programs, funds, weaponized agencies to peddle this stuff. They're talking about tax-funded, they call it now gender-affirming care, because sex change was kind of unpopular. The term got a bad smell to it, so now they call it gender-affirming care. But they're talking about they're going to push this on children. The Department of Justice on this day sent out letters to every state attorney general claiming that the Constitution requires them to accept this stuff. It was a threat, basically. If you don't allow boys and males in girls' bathrooms, if you don't allow males to participate in female sports, we're going to use the full power of the federal government to come after you. They announced new training programs to train school leaders on how to peddle this stuff to kids. The Secretary of Education had a big roundtable down here in Florida, not so subtly threatening the states that are passing legislation to stop this stuff, including, of course, my state. Our legislature passed overwhelmingly, and our governor signed legislation protecting children 9 and under, 3rd grade and under, from LGBT indoctrination. And, you would have thought that this was something controversial. As far as I'm concerned, the controversial part is that we are even having this discussion. I mean, anybody who wants to sexualize 9-year-old kids, 8-year-old kids, kindergarten children, doesn't belong anywhere near a child. And yet you have the entire apparatus of the federal government coming down on Florida telling us that this is unacceptable. So they're making big moves. This International Transgender Day of Visibility was a big opportunity for them to push it into the classroom. And it's already proving devastating, Duke. You and I have talked about this, but the number of transgender children, so-called, is absolutely exploding, and that's going to keep skyrocketing as long as we keep doing this.
Yeah, why would you commit to a gender if you could be any gender you want at any time? I could live my life 90 years and one day, and 90 years of that I can be male, but that one day I might want to be something different. Why would anybody align with a gender? And furthermore, tell me if I'm right about this. We can't define women, but we absolutely know what a man is. We can't define a woman. A man is anything that a woman can do, like menstruate or have babies, but we still can't define women at the Supreme Court justice level. Meanwhile, we're protecting little kids' rights to be surgically altered at 7, 8, and 10 years old, but we are extending abortion rights through all 9 months, and you have some now people arguing, why not be able to allow parents to abort their children after they're born for 2 or 3 years? Does all that make sense to you on a global stage?
Yeah, if you are completely gone in your mind, maybe that makes sense. But it's so nefarious what they're doing here, Duke. And they're actually using transgenderism as an out for children, right? Their teachers are standing up in the classroom and saying, look, if you have light skin, you are automatically an oppressor by default. But look, there's a way out. If you claim to be some new gender, then you're an oppressed minority too. So then you don't have to be the bad guy. You can be one of the victims. And so you got all these poor little kids jumping on the bandwagon. It's so sad to see it, Duke. And if anybody were to stop and spend 30 seconds thinking about this clearly, it would be obvious that this is a fraud of immense proportions.